Alright, I'm gonna be changing the oil in my C6 Z06. It's a 2006, so it takes 8 quarts. Just want to do a quick video. I know there's different ways guys do it. Different ways guys raise their car, different oils they use, different techniques. I keep it pretty simple. I have some nice ramps I'll show in a minute here to make it easier for me since I don't have a lift. But just a quick rundown. Obviously Mobil 1 oil. I just use standard 5W30. I know some guys use the European spec. I just use the normal stuff. Good cheap oil. It's recommended. I use Wix filters. I don't mess with other brands. I know Mobil 1 makes a good one. The comparisons and the tests I've seen, Wix does just as good, if not better, than Mobil 1. Plus Wix, I think it was like $6. It's a little better than paying 12 or 13 for a Mobil 1. Paper towel, good old Harbor Freight jack. It's been serving me well for many years. I made up a little jack board with some risers on it because the rear cross member is not flat, so put these little risers in the back so it makes better contact. Got a filter wrench. Usually I don't need it. When I do my own oil changes, I don't torque it down too much, just the recommended 18-20 foot-pounds. The last time this car had an oil change was by a speed shop when I had the heads and cam done. So I'll grab a filter wrench just in case they over tightened it more than I usually do. Rubber glove and a really good torque wrench. I was using a cheap one for a while, just a Harbor Freight $10 wrench. I really recommend getting a good one, especially working on a expensive car like we have. This is a CDI. It's basically the same brand as Snap-on. It's just kind of their no label brand, but it comes with a certificate of authenticity. It's within 1% accuracy, so it's a really nice torque wrench. This one is 10 to 100 foot-pounds, so it'll handle pretty much anything you can throw at it. For lifting the car, I invested in some race ramps a number of years ago when I had my old C5 Corvette. These are the standard length 10-inch ramps, I believe, but I got some extenders. My old C5 was lowered and so is this car. So anything other than stock height, you're going to need those extenders or longer ramps just to make sure you don't rub anything on the bottom driving up. I got a bunch of wheel chocks just to be safe. And then for the back, I also have some of these track jacks from race ramps. Without these, once you drive up on the front ramps, you're not going to be able to get the jack underneath the rear cross members. So just drive up all 4 at one time. Pretty easy. These ramps don't slip, even though my floor is pretty slick. It's a really great investment. So next up, we'll get the car up on the ramps. Alright, we got the car up on ramps. First thing I do, take that cap off dry sump reservoir. Leave any pressure that's in there so all the oil can get out. Alright, we're under the car now. Before I do anything else with drain plugs, etc., I try to loosen the oil filter. Make sure it's not cranked on there way too tight, because you drain the oil first and then you realize you can't get your filter off, you're gonna have a bad time. So I already loosened this with my oil filter wrench. It wasn't on too tight, probably tighter than I would have done it, but that's okay. So we're loose, so we'll let that stay on there for now. So on the Z06s and the Grand Sports with the dry sump, you got two drain plugs. This one here facing towards the front. These are both 13 millimeters, and then this one on the side, it's right next to the filter. I think the one on the side holds the most oil. It drains the dry sump. And then the one in the front is just residual stuff. It's usually in like a half a quart. I could have those mixed up, but we'll get the idea once we undo the plugs and see how much comes out. Alright, so here's the drain plugs again. I already loosened them up. The speed shop that worked on my car had them torqued pretty tight, way more than 18 foot-pounds, so I had to use a breaker bar on the front one and a lot of muscle on the back one. So I got them broken loose, so let's go ahead and start draining the first one. Here's the drain plug. They come with this little rubber gasket on the inside that compresses to keep that seal when you thread them in. Some people recommend to replace them. You can get these anywhere in any auto parts store. This is 66451, this Nita brand. So I'm going to go ahead and replace mine. Probably do it every other oil change, every other year or so, just to make sure that those are nice and new. Alright, we're at the back of the car now. Just getting my jack and board lined up here. Just keep going until we get her just past level. So the back's a little bit higher than the front, not much. Get some jack stands under here because I'm going to let it drain for a while. Here's what the car looks like jacked up in the back. Probably hard to tell, but I did put a level on it, and it's definitely higher in the back than the front. Alright, we're back underneath here. I put the side drain plug back in temporarily. We're going to let the front one drain now. Once that one slows to a trickle, we'll take the side one off again. Get the back raised up, make sure it all gets out of both. Pretty sure the front one has the most oil looking at the stream. I think I got it mixed up earlier when I said the side one had more. Just wanted to show that the side plug off. Hopefully you can see that both are draining pretty good right now. So there's a lot of guys that say they don't jack up the back of their car, that's not worth it, that only a little oil gets left in there. But if you want to get everything out of there like you should really jack up the back of your car. Forces everything up towards the front of the pan and almost guarantees you get everything out. Alright, I got the second drain plug up here. This one's already done with the new gasket on that I showed before. I don't know if the Z06s had magnetic plugs from the factory. If they don't, you should definitely invest in them. I had a couple metal shavings on it, especially if you do mods like head and cam. You're going to have some stuff that falls through the system and ends up on that tip. So here's the old gasket on this side drain plug. Doesn't look worn or anything, it's just a little bent from being torqued down too much. But I think it's good maintenance just to replace them at least every 2 years or so. Alright, last thing to remove here, the fun part, filter. Some guys poke holes in them. I honestly just loosen it up till it overflows. Let that drain a little bit. It's going to be messy no matter what you try to do. At least for me it is. Alright, we got our new filter here. I'm going to prime it with some oil. I like to use these little measuring funnels because it has a stop on the bottom. It's pretty easy to just put some oil in here and then let her out at your own pace, rather than trying to use a funnel in the big bottle. Alright, back under the car now. Getting ready to button everything up. I like to take these blue shop rags, they're lint free. Clean the surfaces where everything mounts up. Do the filter first here. We're just going to start everything. We're not going to torque anything quite yet. Just get everything started to stop the oil drips and get the oil out of our way. Then we can take the towel, get that surface nice and dry where it was dripping. Get that guy finger tight. And we'll do the front one here. Don't want to miss any. That would probably be bad. Don't know how far my car would make it down the road before it grenaded. Get that dry in the front. Alright, got my torque wrench set. Triple checked that it's right at 18. As you can see, I did it finger tight and then tightened it up a little bit before I started this clip. And it's really not much. My torque wrench is already given. I'll do another tiny bit past that, but that's all you need. And we'll torque down the front one. Again, I got it kind of just started finger tight. And you can see again, my wrench is already telling me it's 18. I'll just do another maybe millimeter past that, and that's good. And finally, for the filter, again, I have it kind of finger tight. You can see I'm moving it back and forth. Once you make contact and it's finger tight, I only go another maybe 10 degrees, 10 to 20 degrees tops. Alright, we're ready to fill up the sump. And rather than trying to use a funnel and one of these big 5-quart jugs and pray that you get it all in the funnel in that first pour, I just bought one of these cheap plastic containers with a little spout on the end. And we'll just get it started with this guy. We're ready to fill up the dry sump reservoir now. We'll get her started here with the first 5 quarts. Again, mine takes 8 total. We'll do 7 to start, and then we'll have to run the engine for a little bit, get it to cycle through the system, and then we'll add the last quart. So we'll get going here and get these first 5 quarts in. The way the reservoir is kind of baffled down there, I'm keeping a close eye as I'm pouring that it doesn't back up at all and come sloshing out. Alright, so the first 5 quarts are in. Another nice thing about these measuring cups, obviously if you don't have a factor of 5 filling up your car, which I don't think any of us do with Corvettes, is you can get it pretty exact to what you need to put in. So I'm going to put 2 more quarts in, 4 cups and a quart, so I'll get the next 2 in there and then we'll get the car started. Alright, we left the car warm up a minute or two. We're going to dump the last quart in here to get our 8. Then we're going to let it sit for a while and check to see how it's doing. It's looking really good. Just gonna let that drain. Alright, everything's drained. Dry sump's got 8 quarts in it. Let's take a little check of the dipstick. Bottom 2 holes got oil in. Top one just barely does, so got exactly 8 quarts in there. That's about it. We're all set.